Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dan on Sports. I'm telling you, the New York Giants need to make a coaching change. When should they make the coaching change? Well, if I was in charge, I'd make it now. But they're not going to do that. But I believe Coach Brian Dabold has 3 games to get the Giants' act together, or he should be let go. Let's take a look at what's going on with the Giants, who were just embarrassed by the Kansas City Chiefs in the Sunday night game, losing 22-9. First of all, that's now 9 losses in their last 10 home games at MetLife Stadium. It's become ridiculous. The Giants no longer have home field advantage. I mean, you saw the stadium on Sunday night. There were a lot of Red Jackets in there, a lot of Chiefs fans there. And that's the way it seems to be. Anytime an opposing team goes into MetLife Stadium, there seems to be as many visiting team fans in that stadium as there are Giants fans. The Giants, did you see that graphic that NBC put up on the screen the other night? The Giants, the Jets, and the Jaguars have the 3 worst records of home teams in the last 10 years. So it's not just recently with the Giants. The last 10 years, the Giants, the Jets, the Jags have the worst winning percentages at home of any NFL team. That's an embarrassment. This is the New York Giants we're talking about. This is a signature NFL team. And you got to put up with this constantly with the Giants. So as far as I'm concerned, Dabold is not only on the hot seat, Dabold should be replaced right now as a head coach, but it's not going to happen the way this regime works. But that's why I'm saying he's got 3 games to get it straight. 3 games to get it straight, and I'll explain why in a minute. But first, look at what they're doing with Russell Wilson. And you heard the conversation on the NBC telecast the other night about how the whole building is excited about Jackson Dart. He's the quarterback of the future. How do you think Russell Wilson feels? You don't think Wilson isn't hearing those conversations? Of course he is. He's hearing that chatter. And the Giants are casting him aside, and he's your number 1 quarterback. So that needs to stop. Secondly, do you think Jackson Dart is suddenly going to come in and reverse this entire situation? Not going to happen. They don't have an offensive line, and that's on this regime. I mean, this is an issue that's been with the Giants for years now. Not weeks, not games, for years. They don't have an offensive line. That's on the regime. That's on Dabold. That's on the GM, Joe Shane, or whatever his title is. So, Russell Wilson being cast aside, it's not fair to him. And the Giants are ill-prepared. You saw it in the game on Sunday night. Of course Malik Neighbors is going to be double-teamed. So you prepare your offense to throw to the number 2 receiver or the number 3 receiver. Of course Neighbors is going to be double-teamed. That's how Kansas City won the game, for goodness sakes. They took the Giants' number 1 offensive weapon away from them. So you find somebody else. You open things up. You throw under the coverage. You hit the number 2 receiver. You hit the number 3 receiver. And then finally Neighbors is open. And you can get a pass or 2 off to him. What did he do? Catch 2 passes in that game? That's ridiculous. Ill-prepared. You go down to the 4-yard line late in the game, 1st and goal, and you get called for an intentional grounding. You don't run the ball at all? Just to mix it up a little bit? You had time to run the ball and then call a timeout. The Giants needed to score a touchdown there. They couldn't even cover in the point spread. And they would have had they scored a touchdown. Embarrassing. That's on the coaching staff. That's on a coaching staff that's ill-prepared. And that starts with Dabold. As far as I'm concerned, the Giants head coach was on the other side of the field, Steve Spagnuolo. He should have been the Giants coach. He got 4 games to prove himself. You think the Giants would be a better team with Spagnuolo as coach right now? It goes without saying. And then it's the same old line from Dabold. Well, we need to do a better job. His post-game conferences are ridiculous. But now, why do I say he needs 3 games? And you can see the scroll, the upcoming 3 games for the Giants, because you can't fire a coach right now. As ill-prepared as the Giants might be, he's going to get 3 more games, I believe. But after those 3 games, all bets are off. Because you've got the Chargers coming in on Sunday. That's a loss. They'll be 0-4. They'll go down to New Orleans after that. They should win that game. If they don't win that game, the only thing that saves them is the fact that they've got a game Thursday night at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's the only thing that saves them. What is that, October the 9th? And you just don't have that much time to prepare when you play a game on a Sunday and then you've got to come back on a Thursday night. So that's why I say if they lose to the Saints, Dabold gets one more shot. But then there's that 10-day interim between the October 9th game and then the game at Denver. That's the time you make a coaching change. I don't want to hear about, well, you bring in a new head coach, it's going to upset Jackson Dart. He was expecting to learn under Dabold, who's so great with quarterbacks. Nonsense. They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out if Dabold gets canned. But I'm telling you now, as far as I'm concerned, Dabold should be out. He should not be the coach any longer. But as I said, you can't make coaching changes that quickly in the NFL. So he gets 3 more games. And if he's still the coach after those 3 games and the Giants are 0-6, shame on this regime and shame on the ownership for keeping him as coach. So the pressure's on, and the pressure's on Dabold and his coaching staff more than it is on the players. And if you think that suddenly a quarterback change is going to turn it all around for the Giants with that horrendous offensive line, you're not paying attention. This is on the Giants regime. This is on the Giants ownership. It's really not on the players. It's on this staff, which has ill-prepared the players, and on this staff for not putting a roster together that includes a solid offensive line. The Giants are an embarrassment, an absolute embarrassment. And Dabold has 3 games to try and turn it around. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. As always, thanks for subscribing to the newsletter. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you later.